Michael welcomed me with open arms into his friend group, which included 2 other dedicated choir boys, John and Calvin. The 3 were inseparable. John and Calvin wanted to be musicians just like Michael, and weren't as forgiving about my lack of skill, but Michael always defended me to them. Hari's not even a singer, and he still has just as good an ear as you, John. He chastised when John would playfully latch on to a mistake of mine, forcing John into silence. Michael was far more skilled with music than John, and he knew John wouldn't question his characterization of anyone's musicianship. Michael defended me so convincingly that sometimes he even made me believe that I had an ear of a real singer. Michael, John, and Calvin and I hung out together and talked on the phone nightly. But as our friendship progressed, sometimes I would call Michael, just Michael, after we got off one of our 4-way calls, to talk about everything and nothing. He didn't seem to find this weird. Sometimes he would call me, just me, too. "Can you come to the party?" Michael asked during one of our private calls the spring of our last year in high school together, after we'd rid ourselves of John and Calvin. "You know my mother," I said, repeating an excuse I'd given him countless times. "Yeah, but I thought it was worth a try." He sounded defeated, hurt even, and somehow that hurt me too, though I didn't have words for why. I mean, I could try to sneak out. Hari sneaking out? He laughed, that oddly understanding laugh of his, full of shock and lacking any real judgment. Michael laughed with a noticeable discomfort I'd never seen on him as he unrolled a blanket on the ground, threw the pillows from his bed on top of it, and laid down on the pallet. I grabbed my pillow and laid down beside him. "Come closer," he said, and I did. When I visibly tried my best not to touch him, he laughed again, as if I had sung the wrong note in the passenger seat of his mother's car, then wrapped me in his arms, and I realized that was what he'd meant for me to do. I realized I was always supposed to have done this, and I held him back, as much as you can hold the sun. When I awoke at 4 a.m., I had sobered up. We hadn't gone any further than holding each other that night, but still the guilt was suffocating. The most depressing thing about being queer in this world is the fact that there isn't just the possibility of your sexuality that you were taught to be afraid of. A world where you can hold the person you love without guilt terrifies you too. I had never held another boy in my arms. I had never been held that way with my consent either. And I had been taught that I was never supposed to feel that much joy, so I could only beat myself up when I did. "I have to go," I said, gasping for air and pushing him away. "Are you sure?" he asked. "You know my mother." I held my breath for what couldn't biologically have been the entire 10-minute drive home, but it felt like it. When I pulled into the driveway, I found Mata waiting up for me. "Shit," I mumbled to myself. "Shit, shit, shit."